The medical bay was crowded. Taman had called in everyone he could think of, and now the small room felt stuffed with people and equipment. Dr. Doyen stood by his physics instruments, frowning at the readings. Dr. Sora sat quietly in the corner with her tablet, taking notes. The young engineer Yuna was checking the scanning equipment, making sure everything worked perfectly. In the center of it all sat Lier, looking very small on the examination chair. The child's crystal still glowed gold, though not as brightly as before. Hana stood nearby, and whenever Lier looked at her, the golden light grew stronger. Fascinating, Doyen muttered, adjusting his sensors. The energy signature is completely off the charts. In simple words, please, Taman said tiredly. He'd been awake for 18 hours now. Doyen sighed. The kid is producing energy we can't fully explain. It's not heat, not radiation in any normal sense. It's something else. Something connected to Dr. Hana, Sora added, looking up from her notes. I've been watching the patterns. The crystal glows brightest when Hana is close. It dims when she moves away, but it's not just distance. What do you mean? Vane asked. The Velrathi father had refused to leave his child's side. Sela stood with him, both of them watching the humans with careful attention. I mean, other factors matter too, Sora explained. Watch this, she nodded to Hana. Dr. Hana, could you think about something sad? Hana blinked. Something sad? Why? Just try it, please. Hana closed her eyes for a moment. Taman saw her expression change, becoming heavy with memory. He knew what she was probably thinking about. Her brother. The accident 3 years ago. It was the only thing that ever made Hana truly sad. Lear's crystal flickered. The golden light turned slightly orange, then dimmed. The child made a small, uncomfortable sound. Stop, Vane said sharply. You're hurting Lear. No, wait, Lear said, surprising everyone. It's not pain. It's just heavy, like something is pressing on me inside. But Dr. Hana isn't touching me. How is she doing this? Hana opened her eyes quickly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Now think of something happy, Sora interrupted gently. Hana hesitated, then smiled. A real smile, the kind that reached her eyes. Taman knew that look too. She was probably thinking of her grandmother, the one who had raised her, the one who taught her to find joy in small things. Lear's crystal blazed bright gold again. The child laughed, a sound of pure delight. There, that feeling. It's like flying, like being warm all over. The Velrathi parents looked at each other. Their blue crystals pulsed steadily, showing nothing. But Taman was learning to read their body language. They were disturbed by this. Our species eliminated these responses 40,000 years ago, Sela said quietly. We called them emotions. They were inefficient. They caused poor decisions and wasted energy. We engineered them out of our biology. But Lear has them now, Doyen said. He was looking at his instruments with intense focus. Or at least Lear is detecting them. These readings suggest that humans are producing some kind of quantum field tied to emotional states. Most species can't perceive it at all. But Lear can. Taman said slowly, understanding dawning. The child's crystal is acting like a receiver. More than that, Yuna spoke up. The young engineer had been quiet until now. I think it's acting like a translator. Look at the scan results. The crystal isn't just detecting human emotions, it's converting them into something Lear's brain can process. The child is actually feeling what we feel. Silence filled the room. Everyone stared at Lear. Is that true? Vane asked his child. Are you feeling what the humans feel? Lear looked confused. I don't know. I don't know what feeling means. I only know that when Dr. Hana is happy, I am something good. And when she's sad, I am something heavy. Those are emotions, Sora said softly. Happy and sad, joy and sorrow. Your species might have removed them, but Lear is experiencing them now. This is a medical emergency, Sela said firmly. Our child is malfunctioning. No, Hana said, her voice sharp. Everyone looked at her in surprise. She rarely spoke so forcefully. Lear isn't broken. Emotions aren't a malfunction. They're part of what makes humans human. They make you weak, Vane said. Not unkindly, but matter-of-factly. Your species is barely 200 years into space travel. Ours has been exploring for 50,000 years. We achieved this through logic and efficiency. You're still ruled by these feelings. Taman felt a flash of anger but pushed it down. Getting emotional wouldn't help right now. Maybe, he said carefully. But our feelings also drive us forward. We explore space because we're curious, because we wonder what's out there. We create art and music because they make us feel something beautiful. We help each other because we feel compassion. And you also start wars because you feel angry, Vane replied. You make poor choices because you feel jealous or afraid. Emotions are a primitive stage of development. Then why is Lear responding to them? Hana asked. If emotions are so primitive and useless, why would your child's crystal react to them at all? No one had an answer for that. Doyon cleared his throat. I have a theory. It's not complete, but what if the Velrathi didn't actually remove emotions? What if they just turned off the receiver? Explain, Vane demanded. The crystals in your chests, Doyon said, gesturing to the Velrathi adults. According to your medical files, they used to be different. Thousands of years ago, before your people did the genetic engineering. They were more complex, more sensitive. Right? Yes, Sela confirmed. They used to process what our ancestors called heart signals. We believed they were messages from a spiritual realm. Later, we learned they were simply emotional responses, chemical and electrical signals in the brain that the crystal somehow amplified. Exactly, Doyon said, getting excited now. But you didn't remove the crystals. You changed them, made them simpler, turned them into just pumps and health monitors. But what if in rare cases a crystal doesn't fully change? What if Lear's crystal is partially like the old kind? A genetic throwback, Sora said, nodding slowly. It happens in evolution. Ancient traits reappearing. Lear looked down at the glowing crystal in their chest. So I'm broken? Different from other Velrathi children? Not broken, Hana said firmly. She moved closer to Lear, and the golden light grew warm and steady. Different, yes, but different isn't bad. Different can be special. Special how? Lear asked. This feeling. It's so strange. Sometimes I like it. When you're happy, I feel like I could run forever. But when you were sad before, I felt like I was sinking into deep water. That's what emotions are like, Hana said gently. They're not always comfortable. Sometimes they hurt. But they also let you experience the full range of what life can offer. Vane stepped forward, his blue crystal pulsing steadily. We need to contact our homeworld. They need to know about this. The medical council should decide what to do. Do? Taman asked carefully. What do you mean? Whether Lear should receive treatment, Sela said. There are procedures. We can fully calcify the crystal, make it function normally. Remove this condition. You want to take away what Lear is experiencing? Hana's voice was barely above a whisper, but everyone heard the emotion in it. Anger, sadness, disbelief. We want our child to be normal, Vane said simply. To live a logical, peaceful life. Not to be overwhelmed by these primitive responses. Lear looked between the adults, the crystal flickering with uncertainty. Gold mixed with blue, new and old fighting inside the child's chest. Taman realized they were at a crossroads. What happened next would determine not just Lear's future, but possibly the relationship between humans and Velrathi forever. Before you make any decisions, he said slowly, maybe we should learn more. Maybe Lear should decide. This is the child's heart after all. Children don't make medical decisions, Vane said. But this isn't just medical, Una spoke up. This is about who Lear is, what Lear could become. The golden light pulsed once, bright and questioning, in the chest of one small alien child who had accidentally discovered something its entire species had forgotten. The ability to feel. The Velrathi council chamber was cold, not in temperature but in feeling. Taman stood at the center of a circular room, surrounded by holographic projections of Velrathi elders. 12 of them, their crystals all glowing the same steady blue, watching him with eyes that held no warmth, no anger, no curiosity, just calculation. You have requested this emergency session, the lead counselor said. Her name was Vesh. Speak, Taman had prepared for this moment. He'd written speeches, practiced arguments, gathered data, but now standing here all of that felt wrong. Data wouldn't convince them. Logic wouldn't change their minds. They had 40,000 years of logic. What they didn't have was something else. I want to tell you a story, he said. The counselors looked at each other. We do not have time for stories, Vesh said. The medical procedure is scheduled. I know. This won't take long, please. A pause. Then, surprisingly, Vesh nodded. Proceed. Taman took a breath. When I was 7 years old, my mother died. Cancer. I was too young to really understand death. I just knew she was gone and wasn't coming back. I was sad. So sad that I stopped eating, stopped playing. I just sat in my room and stared at the wall. The counselors watched him without expression. My father was sad too, but he had to be strong. He had to work, take care of me, keep living. One day he sat down next to me and said, "Taman, your mother loved stars. Did you know that?" I didn't. He told me that before I was born she wanted to be an astronomer. But life got in the way, so she never got to study the stars like she wanted. Taman looked up at the counselors. My father said, "Maybe you could study them for her. Maybe you could see the things she never got to see." And that thought, that feeling, changed everything. I felt sad because I missed her. But I also felt something else: purpose, love, connection to someone who was gone. Those emotions, those feelings, they gave me a reason to keep going, to live, to eventually become a scientist, to end up here meeting alien species, seeing things my mother never dreamed possible. An emotional anecdote, one counselor said dismissively. "This proves nothing. It proves everything," Taman replied. "Without emotions, I would have just processed my mother's death as a fact. A data point. I wouldn't have felt the sadness, but I also wouldn't have felt the love that drove me forward. I wouldn't be here. Humanity wouldn't be here. We reached for the stars because we felt wonder, because we felt curious, because we felt hope. And you also nearly destroyed yourselves multiple times," Vesh said. "We have studied your history. Wars driven by hate, genocides driven by fear, destruction driven by greed and anger. Your emotions make you dangerous." "Yes," Taman admitted, "but they also make us capable of incredible things. We create art that moves the soul. We write music that brings people together. We sacrifice ourselves for strangers because we feel compassion. We explore the impossible because we feel wonder. Tell me, Counselor Vesh, when was the last time your species did something just because it felt right, not because it was logical?" Silence. "You've been traveling space for 50,000 years, Taman continued. But what have you discovered? What have you created? You're stable, efficient, logical, but are you growing? Are you changing? Or are you just maintaining what you already have?" "Stability is strength," another counselor said. "Stagnation is death," Taman countered. "And right now you have a chance. 6 young Velrothi have accidentally rediscovered something you lost. They're feeling emotions, real emotions. And yes, it's scary and messy and unpredictable, but it's also beautiful and meaningful and alive." "They are children," Vesh said. "They cannot make informed decisions about permanent changes to their biology." "Then let them grow up first." Hana's voice came from the entrance. She stepped into the chamber, unauthorized but determined. Hyun was with her, and surprisingly so was Yuna and Doyen, the whole human team. "Let them experience emotions for a few months, a year. Then let them decide if they want the procedure." "Dr. Hana, you are not authorized," Vesh began. "I don't care about authorization," Hana said. Her voice was shaking slightly, but she kept going. "I care about Lear. I care about those 6 children who are about to lose something precious before they even understand what it is." "It is a malfunction," Vesh said firmly. "A genetic defect that will make them unable to function in Velrothi society." "Then change Velrothi society," Yuna said. The young engineer stepped forward. "I've been studying your cultural databases. Your art, your music, your literature. It's all empty, technically perfect but soulless. You know what I think? I think your species has been dying slowly for 40,000 years. You just haven't realized it yet." The counselor's crystals pulsed but still showed no color, no emotion. "We are the most successful species in this sector," one counselor said coldly. "We have never had a war, never had a famine, never had social unrest. Our efficiency is unmatched." "Your emptiness is unmatched," Doyen said quietly. "I've analyzed your technological progress. You reached your current level about 20,000 years ago. Since then, nothing. No breakthroughs. No innovations. You're maintaining, not advancing, because innovation requires something you don't have." "And what is that?" Vesh asked. "The courage to fail," Doyen said. "Innovation comes from trying crazy things, following hunches, taking risks that don't make logical sense. All of that requires emotions, curiosity, passion, hope." At that moment, the chamber doors opened again. Vane and Sela entered, leading Lear by the hand. The child's crystal glowed gold, bright and beautiful. "Counselor Vesh," Vane said formally, "we request to speak." "This is highly irregular," Vesh began. "Please," Sela interrupted. It was the first time Taman had heard her sound anything other than calm. Our child has something to say. Lear stepped forward. The small Velrothi looked up at the 12 council projections with large, wondering eyes, and began to speak. Honored counselors, I don't understand all the words being used here, but I understand what's happening. You want to change my crystal? Make it like yours. Make me normal. The golden light flickered. I've been thinking about that. What it means to be normal. The child paused, gathering courage. 3 days ago, I didn't know what happiness was. I didn't know what sadness was. I was just existing, like a machine that breathes and eats and sleeps but doesn't really live. But now I know different. Now I felt things. Lear's crystal pulsed with different colors as the child spoke. I felt joy when Yuna showed me human music. I felt curiosity when Doyen explained physics. I felt sadness when Hana told me about losing her brother. I felt love when my parents held me last night, and for the first time, I could feel that they loved me back. Not just in words. In here. The child touched the glowing crystal. I could feel it. These are primitive responses, Vesh said, but her voice was slightly less certain now. Maybe, Lear agreed. But they're my responses. My feelings. And I don't want to lose them. Please don't make me go back to being empty. Sela stepped forward and everyone in the room froze. Her crystal steady blue for her entire adult life flickered. Just for a moment. Just a tiny spark of something else. Green, perhaps. Or purple. I felt that, she whispered. When Lear spoke just now, I felt something in my crystal. Something I haven't felt since I was a child, before my procedure. Vane stared at his partner. That's impossible. Your crystal is fully calcified, I know. But I felt it. Sela looked at the counselors. I felt proud of my child. Just for a second. And it was... She struggled to find words. It was worth 40,000 years of numbness. The chamber fell silent. Taman barely dared to breathe. Finally Vesh spoke. This changes nothing. The decision stands. The procedures will occur as scheduled. No, Vane said. They won't. Everyone turned to him. I am invoking parental right of refusal, Vane said formally. I do not consent to the procedure for my child. Lear will remain as they are. You're making an emotional decision, Vesh said. Yes, Vane replied. His blue crystal pulsed steadily, showing nothing. But Taman heard something in his voice. Something new. Maybe I am. And maybe that's exactly what this decision needs. Lear ran to Vane and hugged him tightly. The child's golden crystal blazed with pure joy. And for just a moment, the faintest shimmer of gold touched Vane's blue crystal. The briefest spark. But it was there change had begun. 2 months had passed since the council meeting. The Velrothi delegation had stayed at the station, much to everyone's surprise. The other 5 affected children's parents had also refused the procedure, following Vane and Sela's example. Now 6 young Velrothi lived in the human section of the station, learning about emotions every day. Taman watched them through the observation window of the education room. Lear was teaching another child, a slightly older Velrothi named Mira, how to identify different feelings. Hana sat with them, patient and kind as always. Point to the face that shows happiness, Lear said, holding up a tablet with human facial expressions. Mira's crystal flickered between blue and gold, uncertain. This one? She pointed to a smiling face. Yes, good. Lear's crystal blazed bright. And when you see that face, how does it make you feel inside? Warm, Mira said slowly. Like I want to smile too. Is that right? That's perfect, Hana said warmly. That's empathy. Feeling what others feel, Taman smiled. The children were learning faster than anyone had expected. Not just learning about emotions, but learning to control them. Sora had developed training methods adapted from human psychology that helped them process feelings without being overwhelmed. It's remarkable, Doyen said, appearing beside Taman with a cup of coffee. The neural plasticity of young Velrothi is incredible. Their brains are adapting to emotional processing in real time. And the adults? Taman asked. Doyen shrugged. Slower, much slower. But it's happening. Sela has shown the most progress. Vane less so. The crystals in adult Velrothi are more calcified, harder to reactivate. But we're seeing flickers, tiny responses. The council isn't happy. No, Doyen agreed. But they can't deny the results. The children are thriving. They're not breaking down or malfunctioning. They're just growing in a different way. In the recreation room, Yuna had set up a music area. She'd brought instruments from Earth and was teaching the Velrathi children to play. The sounds that came out were chaotic at first, discordant and strange. But gradually something beautiful emerged. Lear had taken to the piano. The child's small hands moved across the keys, creating melodies that made other children's crystals glow with resonance. Music, Taman realized, was a universal language of emotion. "Listen to that," Yuna said excitedly when Taman visited. "Lear is composing. Actually creating new music, not just copying patterns. That's never happened in Velrathi culture." "It's just random notes," one of the Velrathi parents said skeptically. But even as he spoke, his crystal flickered slightly. The music was reaching something deep inside him, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. The breakthrough came one evening during a station-wide gathering. Humans and Velrathi had come together to share a meal. It had become a regular event, a way to build understanding between the species. Hyun was telling a story about his childhood, about the time he got lost in the mountains, and how scared he'd been. The Velrathi children listened intently, their crystals flickering with orange fear responses. Then Hyun described being found by rescue workers, the relief and joy he'd felt. The crystals turned gold. "But the best part," Hyun said with a grin, "was when I got home and my mother hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. She was crying and laughing at the same time. I didn't understand it then, but now I do. She felt so many things at once. Fear for what could have happened. Relief that I was safe. Love that made everything else bearable." Sela, sitting at a nearby table, made a soft sound. Everyone turned to look at her. Tears were running down her face. Actual tears. Something no Velrathi had cried in 40,000 years. "Sela?" Vane reached for her, concerned. "Are you damaged?" "No," she whispered. I remembered something. From before my procedure, when I was very young. I fell and hurt myself, and my mother held me. And I felt this exact feeling, safety, love. I had forgotten it completely, but it was still there, buried somewhere deep inside." Her crystal wasn't just flickering now. It was glowing with genuine color, pale gold mixed with blue. The calcification was breaking down just a little. "Just enough." Vane stared at her. Then slowly he took her hand. And his crystal flickered too. For the first time in his adult life, he felt something beyond logic. Connection, love, fear of losing it. "What's happening to us?" he asked quietly. "You're waking up," Hana said gently. "Your species has been asleep for a very long time. Now you're waking up." Word spread quickly through the station. The adult Velrathi had begun to feel emotions. Not strongly, not like their children, but enough. Enough to know what they'd been missing. The response from the Velrathi homeworld was swift and severe. The council declared the delegation contaminated. They were ordered to return immediately for medical treatment. The emotional responses had to be eliminated before they spread further. But something unexpected happened. The delegation refused. "We're not coming back," Vane told the council via transmission. "Not yet. Not until we understand what we're experiencing." "You are malfunctioning," Vesh said coldly. "All of you. This is exactly what we feared." "Emotions are contagious. They spread like disease." "If feeling love for my child is a disease," Sela said, "then I don't want to be cured." The council threatened sanctions. They threatened to send ships to retrieve the delegation by force. But they underestimated one crucial thing. Other Velrathi were watching, young ones especially, and they were curious. Questions began appearing on Velrathi communication networks. What does happiness feel like? Why did our ancestors have emotions? Is it really so bad to feel things? The council tried to suppress the questions, but they spread too fast. The floodgates had opened. 3 weeks later, a small ship arrived at the station. On board was a young Velrathi scientist named Kess. She had come without authorization, risking everything. "I need to understand," she told Taman. "I've been researching our history. Before the calcification, we were different. We created things that were beautiful, not just efficient. We wrote poetry. We made art that touched something inside. Then we decided efficiency was more important. We gave up everything that made us alive. I want to know what we lost." Taman brought her to the children's classroom. Lear and the others were learning about human literature. Hana was reading them a story, something simple but meaningful. A tale about friendship and sacrifice. As she read, Kess felt something strange in her chest. Her crystal, fully calcified like any adult's, trembled, just slightly, and in that trembling was an ache, a longing for something she'd never known but somehow remembered. "This is what we lost," she whispered. "All of this. For 40,000 years." That night, Kes sat with Lear in the observation dome. They watched Earth rotate slowly below them, blue and white and beautiful. "Does it hurt?" Kes asked. "Feeling everything?" "Sometimes," Lear said honestly. The child's crystal glowed steady gold.
"Yesterday I felt sad because Mira had to go to the medical bay for tests."
I was worried. It hurt inside. But Hana taught me that worry means you care, and caring is worth the hurt. "Your generation will be different from mine," Kes said. "You'll grow up feeling things we never felt, creating things we never imagined. You'll be something new." "Not new," Lear corrected gently. "We'll be what Velrathi were always supposed to be." "Before you decided to stop," Kes looked at the child in wonder. "You're very wise for someone so young. Hana says emotions make you understand things that logic can't explain. I'm learning that." Below them, on Earth, billions of humans lived and loved and struggled and felt everything the universe offered them. They were messy and complicated and imperfect. But they were alive, truly alive. And now, slowly, the Velrathi were learning to be alive again, too. Taman stood at the edge of the observation dome, watching the two Velrathi talk. Hana joined him, slipping her hand into his. They'd grown closer over these months, bonding over their shared purpose. "Do you think the council will accept this?" she asked. "Eventually," Taman said. "They can't stop it now. Too many Velrathi have seen what's possible. The questions won't go away." "We changed them," Hana said softly. "An entire species." "No," Taman corrected. "They changed themselves. We just reminded them what they used to be." Lear's crystal blazed bright in the darkness, a beacon of feeling in a galaxy that had grown too cold. And all across Velrathi space, other crystals were beginning to flicker. Tiny sparks of color in an ocean of blue. The awakening had begun. And there was no going back. The galaxy would never be the same again. 3 days had passed since Lear's crystal first turned gold. The station had become busier with more researchers arriving to study the phenomenon. But the Velrathi Council had also sent a clear message. Lear was to be kept away from humans until they decided what to do. Taman sat in his office, reviewing the data for what felt like the 100th time. Doyen had confirmed his theory. Humans produced measurable energy patterns connected to emotional states. The patterns were complex, changing with every feeling. Joy created one signature. Fear created another. Love created something else entirely. Most species in the galaxy couldn't detect these patterns at all. They were too faint, too subtle. But Lear's partially calcified crystal picked them up perfectly. And not only that, it made the child feel them too. "It's like a radio," Doyen had explained. "Humans are broadcasting on a frequency that nobody else can hear." Except Lear, the door chimed. "Come in," Taman called. Sora entered, looking troubled. "We have a problem. Actually, multiple problems." "What now?" 2 other Velrathi children in the delegation are showing symptoms. Their crystals are flickering. Not gold like Lear's, but definitely not normal blue anymore. The Velrathi parents are panicking. Taman felt his stomach sink. They think it's spreading. They think we're infecting their children with something dangerous. Sora sat down heavily. "They're calling it an emotional plague." "That's ridiculous," Taman said, but even as he spoke, he understood their fear. From the Velrathi perspective, their children were developing something their species had spent thousands of years trying to eliminate. Of course they were scared. "There's more," Sora continued. "Hana broke protocol. She went to see Lear last night." Taman closed his eyes. "Of course she did. Hyun caught her on security footage. He didn't report it, but others might find out. If the Velrathi learn that we violated their isolation order..." "Where's Hana now?" "In Lab 3. She wants to talk to you." Taman found Hana sitting alone among the equipment, looking at samples through a microscope. But he could tell she wasn't really seeing them. Her mind was elsewhere. "You broke quarantine," he said without preamble. "Yes, that was stupid and dangerous and could destroy our entire first contact mission." "Yes, so why did you do it?" Hana finally looked up at him. Her eyes were tired but determined. "Because Lear asked me to. The child sent me a message through the communication system." "Do you know what it said?" Taman waited. It said, "I'm scared. Please help me understand what I'm feeling." How could I ignore that? You should have told me. We could have found a proper way. There is no proper way, Hana interrupted. The Velrathi don't have words for emotions. They don't have concepts for them. How do you explain fear to someone whose language doesn't have the word? How do you teach someone about joy when their entire culture says it doesn't exist?
So what did you do?
Hana smiled slightly. I told Lear stories. Human stories. About my grandmother who loved to garden, who said that growing things made her happy. About my brother who was afraid of the dark until I taught him that darkness is just the absence of light, not something to fear. About falling in love, losing people you care about, finding hope in difficult times. And Lear's crystal went through every color I've seen and some I haven't. Purple when the child was curious. Green when understanding something. Red when hearing about anger or pain. Gold when I talked about love and kindness. It was beautiful, Taman. Lear was experiencing the full range of human emotion in one night. Taman sat down beside her. The Velrathi Council wants to calcify Lear's crystal. Make it normal again, I know. Lear told me. The child also told me something else. Hana's voice became quiet. Lear doesn't want it. Doesn't want to go back to being numb. It's not the child's choice. The parents have legal authority. Should they? Hana challenged. If someone wanted to remove part of your brain that lets you feel emotions, would you let them? Even if they said it was for your own good? Taman had no answer for that. Over the next week, the situation grew worse. 4 more young Velrathi showed signs of emotional capacity. Their crystals flickered with colors. They asked questions their parents couldn't answer. Why do I feel heavy when the human looks sad? Why do I want to laugh when I hear music? Why does my chest hurt when I think about leaving this place? The Velrathi medical team arrived with equipment and authority. They set up a surgical suite. The procedure was scheduled for 3 days from now. All the affected children would have their crystals fully calcified. Made normal. Made numb. We're doing what's best for them, the Velrathi doctor explained to the human team. His name was Roan, and his crystal pulsed with steady, emotionless blue. These children will suffer if left in this condition. They'll be unable to function in our society. They'll be outcasts, or pioneers, Yuna said quietly. The young engineer had become protective of Lear over the past week. Maybe they'll be the first of something new. Something new is not always something better, Roan replied. We learned that lesson long ago. Emotions led our ancestors to terrible things. Wars, genocides, destruction on a scale you humans haven't even imagined yet. We eliminated emotions to save ourselves. But you also eliminated something beautiful, Hana argued. Art, music, love, compassion, all of that came from emotions too. We have art, Roan said. Logical, mathematical art, it's sufficient. Is it, though? Doyen asked. He'd been analyzing Velrathi cultural databases. Your species hasn't produced a new art form in 10,000 years. Your music follows the same patterns. Your literature is all technical manuals and historical records. When was the last time a Velrathi created something just because it made them feel good? Roan's crystal pulsed. Feeling good is not a goal. Functioning properly is the goal. That night, Lear sent Hana another message. This one was longer. Dr. Hana, I've been thinking about what you taught me, about emotions. I understand now why my people remove them. They're hard. Sometimes they hurt. This afternoon, I felt something you called sadness. It was heavy and dark, and I didn't like it at all. But then I felt something else. Hope. The feeling that things could get better. And I realized that I wouldn't have known hope if I hadn't felt sadness first. They're connected. One gives meaning to the other. My parents say that after the procedure, I won't feel anything anymore. They say it will be better, easier, but Dr. Hana, I don't want easier. I want to feel, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts, because the hurt means I'm alive in a way I wasn't before. Is that wrong? Is there something broken in me that wants to keep this pain along with the joy? Hana showed the message to Taman. They sat in silence for a long time. What do we do? She finally asked. I don't know, Taman admitted. This isn't our decision to make. Lear's Velrathi, we have no authority here. But we have responsibility, Hana insisted. We're the ones who showed Lear what emotions are. We opened this door. We can't just close it now because it's inconvenient. It's not about convenience. It's about respecting another species' right to raise their children as they see fit. Even if those children are begging us not to let it happen. Taman stood up and walked to the window. Outside, space stretched endlessly. Somewhere out there were billions of species, trillions of individuals, all making choices about who they wanted to be. I need to talk to the Velrathi Council, he said finally, not as a scientist. As someone who understands what Lear is going through. They won't listen, Hana said. They can't understand emotions. That's the whole point. Maybe not, Taman agreed. But I have to try. Because Lear is right. Feeling something, even pain, is better than feeling nothing at all. That's what makes us human. And maybe, just maybe, it's what could make the Velrathi something more than they are now. Lear's crystal glowed gold in the darkness of the child's room, a small beacon of feeling in a galaxy that had grown cold and logical. And in that glow was a question that would soon demand an answer. What matters more, being safe and numb or being alive and feeling everything that life has to offer? The clock was ticking. 3 days until the procedure. 3 days to convince an entire species that emotions were worth the risk. The research station floated in the darkness of space, a small bright dot near the moon. Inside, Dr. Taman checked his notes for the 5th time that morning. His hands were shaking slightly, though he tried to hide it. Today was the day. After 3 years of planning, the aliens were finally here. Stop worrying, Hana said from across the lab. She was organizing samples, her long hair tied back in a practical bun. Everything will be fine. Easy for you to say, Taman replied. You're not leading the whole project, Hana smiled at him. She had always been the calmer one on their team. While Taman stressed about protocols and procedures, Hana focused on the simple things, like making sure their alien visitors felt welcome, whatever welcome meant to them. The Velrathi were nothing like humans. Taman had studied every file, every image, every report about them. They were tall and thin with skin that looked like polished stone. Their faces had no expressions that humans could read. But the strangest thing was their chests. Where a human heart would be, the Velrathi had a crystal structure that glowed with pale blue light. According to the reports, the light showed if they were healthy. Blue meant good. Flickering meant sick. That was all. The Velrathi had explained this very clearly. The crystal was just an organ, nothing more. It pumped fluids through their bodies. It kept them alive. It did not feel anything. They're at the airlock, a voice announced over the speakers. It was Hyun, the security officer. Should I bring them to Lab 3? Yes, please, Taman said. He straightened his coat and tried to look professional. Beside him, Hana set down her samples and wiped her hands clean. The door opened with a soft hiss. 2 tall Velrathi adults entered first, moving with careful grace. Their crystals pulsed with steady blue light. Behind them came a smaller figure, barely reaching the adults' waists. The child. Welcome to Hadley Station, Taman said, bowing slightly. The Velrathi had told them that bowing was respectful in many cultures. I am Dr. Taman, and this is Dr. Hana. We're honored to meet you. The larger Velrathi, who had introduced himself in messages as Vane, nodded his head. We are grateful for your hospitality. This is my family unit, my partner Sela and our offspring Lear. Taman looked at the small Velrathi child. Lear's crystal glowed the same steady blue as the adults, but somehow it seemed brighter. Younger, perhaps. Could crystals look young? We have prepared comfortable quarters for you, Hana said warmly. And we've set up a learning space for Lear. We thought... She stopped. Everyone stopped. Lear was staring at Hana with wide, dark eyes. And the crystal in the child's chest was changing. The blue light was fading, replaced by something else. Something golden. It started as small sparks like fireflies inside glass. Then it spread, growing brighter and brighter until Lear's entire chest blazed with warm yellow light. The child made a sound, something between a gasp and a cry. The light flickered wildly. Lear! Sela moved forward quickly, placing her hands on the child's shoulders. What is happening? Are you in pain? I don't know, Lear said. The child's voice was high and confused. It feels strange. Not bad. Just different. Vane turned to Taman, and for the first time the scientist saw something like alarm in an alien face. This has never happened before. Never in our history. The golden light continued to pulse from Lear's chest. The child took a step toward Hana, and the light grew brighter. A step back, and it dimmed slightly. Another step forward, brighter again. Why does my heart shine near you? Lear asked, looking up at Hana. What are you doing to me? Hana's eyes were wide. She held up her hands. I'm not doing anything. I promise. I'm just standing here. Taman's mind was racing. This wasn't in any of the reports. The Velrathi crystals only glowed blue or, when sick, a dim gray. Never gold. never anything else, and certainly never in response to another person. We need to run some scans, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. With your permission, of course. This is unexpected. Unexpected? Vane repeated. Doctor, this is impossible. Our heart crystals do not change color. They do not react to external beings. They simply exist. Clearly something is reacting, Hyun said from the doorway. The security officer had been watching quietly, but now he stepped forward. The kid's glowing like a lamp. I'm scared, Lear said softly. The golden light flickered faster, almost frantic now. Hana, without thinking, knelt down to the child's level. It's okay to be scared, she said gently. We're all a little scared right now because we don't understand what's happening. But we'll figure it out together. I promise we won't let anything hurt you. As Hana spoke, something strange happened. The frantic flickering in Lear's crystal slowed. The golden light became steadier, warmer, less wild. It still glowed bright, but now it seemed peaceful. Lear looked at Hana with wonder. When you talk, it feels warm, inside. Is this normal for humans? Is what normal? Hana asked. This feeling. Lear placed small hands against the glowing crystal. I don't have words for it. We don't have words for it. But it's there. It's real. Taman watched the scene with growing amazement. Lear was describing something the Velrothi weren't supposed to have. Something their species had left behind long ago according to their own histories. The child was describing emotion. I need to call the rest of the team, Taman said quietly. Doyun, Sora, Yuna, everyone. This is bigger than first contact protocols. Vane and Sela looked at each other. Their crystals pulsed blue, steady and logical. But Taman thought he saw something else in their faces now. Not quite emotion perhaps, but the shadow of it. Concern, fear, wonder. Will our child be safe? Sela asked. Yes, Hana said firmly, still kneeling beside Lear. I promise you, we will keep Lear safe. Whatever this is, whatever's happening, we'll figure it out together. The golden light in Lear's chest pulsed once, strong and bright. Then it settled into a steady glow, beautiful and inexplicable. Outside the window, Earth hung in the void like a blue marble. On its surface, billions of humans lived and died, feeling everything the universe had to offer. Joy and sorrow, love and loss, hope and fear. They felt it all every day without even thinking about it. And now, somehow, one small alien child was feeling it too. Taemin didn't know it yet, but the question Lear had asked would change everything. Not just for the Velrothi, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. Why does my heart shine near you? It was the most important question anyone had ever asked.